we have here in Bozeman, where I like to say it's like Lake Wobegon. Everyone's above average. You can never say things like, I'd like to mountain bike, or I'm good at mountain biking, or I'm good at skiing, or I'm any athletic activity, because you'll be sitting next to someone who's a world champion or an All-American. And that's how I feel Bozeman is across so many aspects of life. Whether you're an outdoors person, a conservationist, an academic, someone who works in business or government, there's something about this community that attracts incredible talent. And I think the thing I appreciate about this community the most is that there's a level of intentionality in how people live their lives here that's missing in so much of the country. If you end up in Chicago or New York or San Francisco or LA, there's a decent chance that was by inertia or allowing life to happen to you. To end up in a place like Bozeman, unless you were lucky enough to be born here, means you have to make a hard decision at some point along the way to say, like, you know what, there's a different way I want to live, or there's different ways I want to spend my time. And you rip the Band-Aid off and you kind of decide to make that commitment to live here. And so many people made that commitment well before remote work was possible. Which kind of so much changed the equation, because of course moving here meant that you were sub-optimizing some part of your career or some of your potential, at least in terms of conventional assessments. And when you take that filter of intentionality and prioritization of what's important to you about the kind of life you want to live, what that leaves you with is this. Well, it's why, as I started out before, we are all above average. Not just me. All of us. And what I mean by that is that you get a beautiful thing when you have a bunch of people that are in tune with what's important to them. And so, long story short, our firm was based on betting on those people. And even though the rest of the world may have thought that that's not a worthwhile bet, certainly no one had done it before with much success, it seemed like a no-brainer to us. And what's happened in our firm is that we've grown from Bozeman to Salt Lake to Boulder, Colorado, and we have team members here tonight that are from all those offices, but we've now invested in Wyoming, Idaho, New Mexico, Washington, obviously Montana, Colorado, Utah, but almost every one of the major Rocky Mountain states. And all of that is based on finding people that have that same Bozeman dynamic, that same kind of above average capability of being intentional, mission driven, passionate about what they want to work on, how they want to spend their time. And again, while that may not be conventional, I don't think you can lose, no matter what happens with the end of the company, when you work with people like that. They are truly gifted and important entrepreneurs. And the fun thing about our job is we get to be around them every day and help them realize their dreams, which is an absolute privilege for us. A couple years ago, we lost one of those early founders, a guy named Michael Fitzgerald, who started Submittable with Bruce and John. And Bruce is here tonight, actually came all the way from Missoula because Catherine, Michael's widow, couldn't make it. Michael, in the middle of trying to build a company, ended up getting colon cancer. And he would want me to tell all of you tonight to get a colonoscopy, because that's what he did not do. But Michael was an incredible person, and I still have a voicemail on my phone that he left the day before he died, where he just called to tell me how much he loved me and how glad he was that we got to work together. And while it's a bit melodramatic, those are the types of relationships you build when you're in the trenches with people, working against all odds to try to build something from nothing. And we decided we were going to continue to honor Michael every year by awarding the Michael Fitzgerald Entrepreneurial Award to someone in our community who represents the values that Michael held dear, which is building a company in a place like Montana, being mission-driven about work, and building incredible teams and cultures where the success is derivative of how you treat people as opposed to trying to make the most money at any given time. And so tonight, it's a real honor for me to award that on behalf of Next Frontier Capital to Dr. Pete Roos. If Dr. Pete Roos could come out here. So I'm going to say a few things about him, but Pete is a mountaineer. This is not why we got him this. This is what we give out every year for the award. But it's about two things about entrepreneurship. You need some help to go uphill, but you also need help to self-arrest sometime when you're going downhill. Although Pete has really only gone uphill in his company, but I want to just brag about him a little bit. So we have a lot of favorite children in our portfolio, but the best partying crowd is always Bridger Photonics every year, and here they are right here. But Bridger Photonics is one of Bozeman's own companies, and what they're doing is, when you talk about mission-driven entrepreneurs trying to change the world, and as a byproduct of that change, make money, Pete represents that. So what they do is they reduce methane that's emitted by oil and gas companies driving U.S. energy, and actually global energy now. And they use a LiDAR system to mount it on an aircraft and fly over the infrastructure, and they can pinpoint the exact place where the methane's leaking, what acid's coming from. And for people who don't know, methane is 88 times more damaging to the Earth's atmosphere than CO2. And fortunately, responsible operators are really focused on reducing that emission profile to try to become more responsible. Pete's company is a reflection of him as a leader. He is one of the most evangelical people you'll ever meet. If you spend 30 minutes listening to him tell you about his company and how they're doing it, you will either want to work for that company or invest in it, or both. And he's extremely humble, so he wants you all to know that this award is largely driven by the people over there, and he's been lucky enough to be on that ride. I'm sure he'll mention that a little bit, but join me in congratulating Pete on being an entrepreneur we can all be proud of.
Wow, thanks, Will. First, Michael Fitzgerald, what he provided and what the early folks provided is it allowed us to dream, to see what success could look like. And it is an absolute honor to receive this award in his name. That means the world to me. Thank you, for sure. Yeah. One more thing. I'm not gonna be done yet. So, and Will, I probably met Will in 2015, and we were probably 15 people at that time. And now, just look around. I mean, look what Will and Rich have built. This is really, really amazing. And as part of that growth, our crew, now we employ about 1 out of every 300 people in this town. And that feels so rewarding. It's so good. It feels so good. And I like to say that the biggest value that I have brought to our company is the fact that I attract the best talent. And that is it. That's kind of it, right? And they're over there. I'm every one of them is just, they're the ones that have done this. The amount that I do is so little. All I do is attract them. And they're the ones that do everything. There's Mike and Jay, Ben, Lisa, Anna Marie, my Lisa, Nathan, you name it. That crew has done it, and it's just an honor. I'll receive this on behalf of our whole company. Thank you, everybody.
All right, Pete, well done, man. I love you, buddy. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now and get the band up here, and I just want to introduce them a little bit. So my brother is one of the singers tonight, and he got all the talent in the family. We both bought guitars at the exact same day. He is a professional rock star, and you would not recognize this thing I can play, so I'm glad he's the one playing for us tonight. But these guys came all the way from Burlington, Vermont. They're one of the funnest bands out there, and I hope you guys all really enjoy them. So thanks, guys, for coming out. Oh, I forgot to, thank you, Scott. The most important part of my whole comments relative to us being able to enjoy tonight is that Silicon Valley Bank is our sponsor tonight. So Silicon Valley Bank, as you may know, is the premier commercial bank that serves the tech industry. They went through some hardship a couple years ago, but they found a safe landing, and they are still extremely active in the market. And almost every one of our companies that does commercial banking uses Silicon Valley Bank. They provide our credit line. But tonight, they really generously stepped up to help cover the cost of this evening. And Ryan's back there from Colorado. He flew all the way up here from Colorado. Ryan, thank you so much for being great partners to us. We appreciate it.